Over 100 years ago, a 26-year-old dreamed up an event that now generates $150 million in revenue every year. The youngest employee of a tiny newspaper is the reason you know the brand, the Tour de France. And his wild marketing idea is now watched by 40 million viewers every year, me included, and is a one-of-a-kind case study for why you can't sell to an empty room, the importance of streamlining communication between your marketing team and executives, and the upside of owning your audience instead of building on rented land. Keep watching to learn the humble beginnings that got the Tour de France's wheels spinning. Let me set the scene for you. The year is 1900 and we're in France. You and I are enjoying a tasty baguette for breakfast and sipping coffee at our local cafe, not named Starbucks. The next part of our morning routine, catch up on the news. And because you can't doom scroll Twitter, the waiter drops a copy of the local newspaper. There are a few prominent newspapers in France at the time, but none hold the status of Le Vélo. It was a regular home for France's best writing talents for political hot takes and sports commentary. But not everyone loved their political content. And when disputes arose, unhappy advertisers pulled their ad budgets and quickly sought out one of Le Vélo's top sports writers, Henri Desgrange. They pitched him the idea of a new sports newspaper to compete with Le Vélo, with Desgrange as the editor-in-chief. Releasing their first issue on October 16, 1900, the brand new L'Auto took a contrary position to many other newspapers at the time, avoiding writing about political issues. They were fully sports-focused, but their unique positioning wasn't enough to power growth, and soon they were struggling. L'Auto started looking for other ways to build their subscriber base and get their newspaper into new hands. At the time, their biggest competitors were sponsoring sporting events, doing interviews with athletes. Their competitors were seeing success covering exclusive scoops, and L'Auto found their market share shrinking. We don't like that. That's when Geo Lefevre, a 26-year-old staff writer who was a former Le Vélo journalist, dreamed up an idea. Instead of covering other brand sporting events, what if L'Auto created their own and became the premier sponsor? Lefevre started by looking at what was working and innovated on top of it. That's what innovation is. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's looking at what is already existing in the market that is working and putting your own spin on it. His competitors were sponsoring one-day cycling races. The logistics were easy, at least allegedly. Those Lime bikes still scare me. I got hit by a motorcycle on one of them, so long story. So Geo took it to the next level. Instead of a one-day race, what about a full-blown tournament racing around France's entire border? A Tour de France, as some might call it. A tour around the country is ingrained in French culture. Kings tour their distant lands to check in on allies. Craftsmen leave their towns to tour how other regions build cathedrals, but a tour of the France border as part of a cycling race, that has never been done. As captivating as that sounds, Desgrange wasn't sold on the idea, so he brings it to the founder of L'Auto, Victor Godet, for his take on the campaign. Godet is all in, confident this is exactly what L'Auto needs to break in on the market. I love this type of communication between the team and executives. With that approval, the first ever Tour de France is to be hosted on the public roads in France later that summer, 1903. The race is to consist of 60 amateur and professional cyclists and will pass through France's smallest border towns. With 6 daunting stages covering 2,428 kilometers or 1,500 miles for our Americans out there, the riders ride as individuals with no team support. Finishing 3 hours before the rest of the heat, Maurice Guérin is the first winner of the Tour de France. A part-time chimney sweep, avid fan of wine and cigarettes, Maurice took breaks at several bars throughout the course to refuel. I mean, this 1903 edition of the Tour de France is drastically different from the one you and I know today. It's hilarious. The two victors of the day, Maurice and L'Auto. The first tour was building all sorts of buzz throughout France. Fans gather with friends on the streets to watch, drink with the cyclists as they refuel, and keep a keen eye on the sports column in L'Auto to see how their favorite athlete is performing. L'Auto's struggles became a thing of the past. The Tour de France was capturing the public's attention mightily, with tens of thousands in attendance to witness the final stage of the tour in Paris. This is a microcosm of why you can't sell to an empty room. Effective marketing gets the right eyeballs on your brand so they can move customers in the direction you desire. By the end of 1903, L'Auto was slingshotting right by the competition. That's a biking term, by the way. With Le Vélo announcing they will be going out of business. Boom. Desgrange and Geo's jobs were secure to say the least, and the Tour de France went on to become one of France's most prized cultural events. Carrying the torch into the future, the Tour de France has taken place every year except during the World Wars. Raking in an average of over 40 million viewers each year and between $60 and $150 million in revenue, the Tour has taken on a completely different image from the scrappy races held in the early 1900s, and is a fantastic case study for the importance of owning your audience. Now, L'Auto continued to thrive for another 40 40 years until politics swallowed up the original ethos of the brand and the newspaper was discontinued in 1944. In its place, though, came L'Equipe, a new sports daily edited by a previous L'Auto writer, Jacques Godet. In the shadow of L'Auto, L'Equipe continues to publish articles today. Not just an iconic origin story, L'Auto's launch of the Tour de France is a fantastic role model for the necessity of owning your audience, not selling to an empty room, and the importance of streamlining communication between your executives and marketing team. Building a following on social media is high leverage, but at the end of the day, you're building on rented land. Don't shy away from socials, but you can't be putting all of your eggs in one basket. Take your followers off platform, build an email and SMS list, and thank me later. The only thing sought out more than consumer attention is consumer action, but the only way to spur consumer action is to first have their attention. This is why you can't sell to an empty room. It's not enough to look at what your competitors are doing. Look outside of your industry. That's how you truly bring an industry-breaking campaign to market. Having buy-in from leadership will make everyone's job easier. It's like sports. If your team captain isn't bought into the team as a whole, how can you expect to win anything? Set up communication channels within your org, whether that be a bi-weekly check-in with leadership or a Slack channel. Get on the same page and you'll be sprinting by the competition. I tried to think of a cyclist analogy there, but I couldn't. Boom. Thank you for listening.